We're inching closer to the NFL draft, and things are getting a little bit clearer through all of this smoke. Today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Make another Locked On show your next one, and make sure that you subscribe to everything that we're doing everywhere because it is almost draft day. Get Chris's content over on KC Chiefs Corner. You can find him there. You can find mine starting at rogueapc.com, where the draft guide is out and available right now. You buy it, it's an instant download. You have it 5 seconds later, and you are good to go. Get that. Check out NFL 33 and RGR football as well. And if you need that much more, and the breaking news that you might need is going to come on the text line at 816-357-8781. We are going to get into it. We're going to double up. We're going to talk a lot of defense today, specifically smoke or fire on some of the draft scenarios that we could see happen. That's coming up later in the show. We'll go through some of the defensive rankings. You'll be able to find mine on NFL 33, as well as the draft guide specifically to everything that we do. That's coming up next. And we start with what is a sneaky possibility, but one that I think flew under the radar just yesterday. Yesterday, Brett Veach was talking to the media, and he mentioned the depth of a couple of positions that we actually called out yesterday on the offensive show of the week. Wide receiver, offensive tackle, and even the running back. What we didn't mention, and what no one seems to be mentioning, is the fact is right up there with him. He didn't mention defensive tackle. He mentioned cornerbacks, because this is a deep defensive line class. We know that. Cornerbacks aren't generally considered as deep, but it seems Brett Veach thinks so. And I think that's a hint that there is a small possibility he could take a top 100 corner if that's the way the ball or the board falls.
If that's the way the ball bounces.
Yeah.
So where you're going to go? Yeah. It's going to be interesting because, to me, you can never have enough good corners. And the reality is we've been talking all offseason kind of that we thought Kansas City was probably set at the corner position. They have Trent McDuffie. They have Christian Fulton. They have guys coming back. We thought that they were at least 4 deep, probably, at least based on what they did last year, and maybe 5 deep. But if they're looking at a top 100 corner, they don't feel great about their corner group. And you have to wonder if, and I hate saying it this way, but this is the reality, you have to wonder if Trent McDuffie's price tag is higher than they were hoping for, and that could be playing into a conversation about drafting a corner in the top 100. I know that's where the talent is. That's true as well. But there's going to be a reason that they're looking at a corner when you already have your top 2, and probably the guys you think are probably going to be your top 3 already on the roster.
And that's probably the biggest question to me, because Jalen Watson would be one of the top 3 as we project now. But he hasn't been able to put together a full season. And that's probably part of the problem, at least in my eyes. And filling in with Josh Williams' work to this point, you've had a 1-2 punch, similar length, similar physicality. That makes all kinds of sense. But when you go back, and I like that you mentioned this, one sneaky comment he made was that just before they took Willie Gay, Christian Fulton went off the board. Yep. And they actually had interest in him then. They would have made a selection had he been there. He could have been that pick. And so that tells me even more that you have him now back on, that he's part of the plan for the future, because he's been there. He's done that, and they've looked at him for quite a long time. If he had come in the league and kind of fallen out or faded off of what they originally thought, they wouldn't have signed him. So I do think that is there. And if the question then becomes who could be the 3 of the future and you're not set, I think there's 2 possibilities in particular that stand out to me that could be somebody the Chiefs should be looking at in the second day. And I don't think either of them are going to go in the first. Some people might talk them up, but I really don't think so. One is Azarea Thomas from Florida State, a super long, sizable man corner that can do everything that you want him to do, much in the vein of what we see from Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams, even though this would be a pick a couple rounds ahead of them. And the other is a switch. And this all depends on what you see the future for Trent McDuffie, not only on the contract, but where he aligns. And that's Maxwell Hairston, who is a bit smaller, not quite as heavy, but he will come up and play run pursuit. He'll support you there. He's one of the faster guys in this draft at 4.28 with the long speed, and he has the top deep speed metric in the athletic matrix this year. I think both of those guys could be options, but they're probably mid-second to mid-third. Is that too rich for you?
I don't think it's too rich for me. The question becomes, what do you do with your first? And I know we're talking mid-second, but the reality is that if they don't draft in the first, trading back into the mid-second to take a corner isn't a horrible situation. I don't love it because I don't think it's a positional need, and that's probably still going to be your first pick. If you're talking a mid-second round pick would be my guess. I don't think that they pick in the first round and then take another pick in the mid-second. So that's kind of where I am on it. But the reality is the draft board falls as it falls. And if your guys aren't there in the early 20s to late 20s, then trading back is your best option. And if you were stuck having to take a corner, it's a premium position. There's worse things that could happen.
Exactly. If it's not going to be offensive tackle or quarterback, or at this point, pass rusher, I don't know that we need to make the edge distinction because this edge class, I think, is not up to par with the defensive interior class. But corner is that next position, right?
Yeah, and I know it's not considered premium by a lot of people, but I would still throw a wide receiver in there as well. I think it's become a premium position mainly because of the paychecks that they're getting now. So to me, it's premium-ish. But the other side of it, though, is that if you can't find your defensive tackle or a defensive end that you really like, getting a corner and being 3 deep at guys that you really feel really comfortable with is going to help with a lesser defensive tackle or a lesser defensive end because it gives them an extra half second, maybe even extra second. That is going to help your defense. Yeah.
Top to bottom, that could be the edge that you're looking for. Not to quote Star Wars, but it is a possibility that that's the way that it works out. So that scenario in particular is one that I do find really interesting, and I think we should address here in a minute when we talk about some of those rankings and who's where and what the current thoughts are. We'll do that right after this. Scaling up your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find the specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and all kinds of things, experts that are ready to help your business go to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelancer talent in multiple industries, whether it's IT or AI or web development, which I have used, marketing, whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork can make that hiring simple and make it affordable. I have used this type before because web development is a time-consuming task that I don't have time to do while I'm doing film and I'm doing all these rankings and crunching the numbers. So finding the right talent becomes a bit of a chore. Upwork can help with that, and they can give you the incredible results that you're looking for to make your business go. Visit Upwork.com right now. Post your job for free. That's Upwork, UPWRK.com, Upwork.com to connect and get the top talent that you're looking for and grow your business today. Business is booming, and we have business to do, so let's get into it. The defensive side of the ball is probably stronger top to bottom than the offensive side of this class. It's a decent thing. The Chiefs need a couple of things on offense, but bolstering that defense that was a surprise the year before last and was still very strong last year, if that can get even stronger, that helps this team push back to the Super Bowl. So what's on your mind on the defensive side?
Goes back to everything we talked about. Defensive tackles, the biggest thing. And it's just a matter of, can you find guys that fit? And the reality, and we've said this multiple times, and I almost feel like I'm just saying this over and over and over again, but the reality in my mind is that they have not addressed this position well enough in the past 4 drafts. And now it's a situation where you probably have to address it twice, at least in this draft. And I do mean at least.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a possibility. And I think there's some opportunities that could rear themselves, especially on night one. We've talked about maybe it's the worst case scenario if they're stuck at 31.5 to pick. But what we're hearing around the league the last couple of days is the 2 guys in particular are falling a bit in the perception. Now, that doesn't mean that it's the reality, but that's the perception. And I actually like one of them better than the other, but let me present them both to you and see what you think. One is the other quote unquote Wolverine defensive tackle, Kenneth Grant, who is a mammoth man. He would be a guy that could take Derek Notty's starting role versus the run game because of his size, but he is very nimble. His feet are good. He has better handwork than anybody gives him credit for. I think he's somebody that can provide some pass rush as well. And it's just such a unique body for that role to play next to Chris Jones. They might be tempted to do it depending on how they have him graded out. I have him at the top of the second. And if he's truly available at 31, would you pull the trigger on a prospect like that?
I think you do if you can't get a good trade. Like, that goes back to what we talked about as well. I mean, it's a situation where you're picking at 31. If somebody's not offering you value for your pick, you're getting basically a second round pick at this point anyway. Take the draft pick and go on down the road. If you like the prospect, take the guy, because you're not going to be picking around. You're not going to be picking again for 30 more picks. So if you like somebody, they're not going to be there the next time you come up unless something drastic happens and where you're making a trade. So in my mind, it's if you like the player, you go get him, because the reality is that it's possible that they're not going to get offers that are really worth giving up to get the 31. I mean, let's look at it this way. You have the 31st pick and you have somebody that wants to come up to 31 and they're only offering a fourth round pick to come up, 10 to 15 spots. That's not worth it for me. Take your guy and go on down the road.
Yeah, I like that concept. And I would agree with you. There are certain scenarios where you got to have basic value in order to move back, because you are missing out on grades that you will be skipping in terms of like just adding a good football player to your program, right? So that's scenario A. Scenario B, let me see if this is tantalizing to you, especially if you're in the room with Steve Spagnuolo. This guy has elite functional strength. He plays with power first. He's not, I think, completely formed. I think he still has some ceiling to achieve. And he's a guy that plays at a program the Chiefs have drafted from before and has had a ton of success. He's not the flashy guy. He's a little bit more workmanlike. But rumor is that Michael Williams might be falling a little bit, could end up in the 20s or even down into the 30s. I think personally, he is a guy, I think he comes in at 265. So perfectly fine for what Steve Spagnuolo wants, right? Yep. I think he's somebody, if he falls into the 20s, that they might be tempted to even move up to go get him, because likely, like me, they have a first-round grade on.
And at that, you have to. I mean, if you have a first-round grade and he drops and he plays a premium type position, you go get him. I mean, the reality is you are in a situation where you're not going to get your guy at 30. You're not going to start at 31. You're just not. So you go get whoever you think that you really want on your roster. And if that's who they want and they think there's value there, then you go get your guy and you find a spot for him on this team. Premium positions you draft all the time. And if it costs you a little bit extra to go get, that's okay, because you still need to have a ton of talent at those positions.
Yeah. Now Williams is literally right on the border. And as I said, I might have mentioned it yesterday, there's one player that I'm seesawing back and forth, and top of the second, bottom of the first. That's him. There are other players, though, that I think when you rank the class in particular at edge, players like James Pierce, who is an outside linebacker only. Jalen Walker, even though there's some talk about him not going as high as expected, he's still a good projection at edge. Could he play stand-up linebacker off ball? Yes, he could. I don't think that's what the league's going to do with him, but, it all depends. But those guys going ahead of Williams, I think, just helps. There's even talk that Donovan Azarea could go above Williams somewhere in the second half of the first round. And all that plays into bumping quality fits for the Chiefs down into the range where they can actually go get them, much like they did with Trent McDuffie.
Oh, and George Karlaftis. I mean, it goes both ways. Defensively, you have to have a game plan for this draft. You have to continue to provide youth on that side of the ball, because the reality is you cannot figure that you're going to be able to continue to pay guys. You paid Chris Jones. You're probably going to I'm hoping that they're going to pay Trent McDuffie. And if you're going to pay George Karlaftis, that's great. I would have no problem with it. But in order to continue paying guys, you have to have youth to be able to fill out the rest of the roster. And you're not going to be able to have, 3 or 4 guys that are making $8-9 million a year, kind of like they have right now. That's just going to be reality in the near future. So you have to continue to get younger at the positions of the premium positions and try to keep the cost down as much as you possibly can and hit on a regular basis.
Yeah. The hitting's the hardest part, right? If
Yep.
they can do that, they'll be in good shape. Now, there's a couple other scenarios that could happen. We're going to go through them and see what we think. Coming up next, smoke or
Did you know that Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with a Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on Fire TV. With the latest technology for elevated game playing with Wi-Fi 6 and 6E and auto low latency mode, advanced technology, Fire Stick TV 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds that you need to stay competitive. It's both affordable and it gives you portable gaming. Play high quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. Already have a console? A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take your or your kids' games wherever you plug in. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices including Fire TV Stick 4K second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max first and second generation, and Fire TV Cube third generation.
okay. Get your Fire station, and then you can play with Fire like we are about to. I am just all over the place on some of these scenarios, so you're gonna have to hone it down for me. What do you got? Fire away, because I need some help.
I look at this draft and I look at what Kansas City is going to be doing, and it's just a question of, are they going to be in on a running back? Are they going to be in on a wide receiver? We've talked defense the last segment, and we're going to talk defense a little bit more on this segment. But the reason I bring up wide receiver and running back is because it all comes back down to draft picks. You have a limited supply. Are you going to be taking a wide receiver and a running back because it's going to affect you? You're going to be able to get defensively. To me, it's a question of, do you think that they are really going to take a corner in the top 100? I know we talked about it a lot in the first segment. Is that smoke or is it fire? What do you think?
I would say that it's a fallback position in their plans. I don't think it's the number one plan, right? I think there are a couple of prospects in particular, especially if they only have 13 on their first round board, that they'd like to get. But does it fall their way? Do they get a trade done the way they want to? The odds kind of feel not in their favor to me. So it may fall to the secondary needs in wide receiver and corner in particular. So at this point, 4 picks, I'm going to go Fire. I'm going to think that they might get in a situation. It's more than likely that they do have to go pick somebody, and it could be a corner.
And you're talking the top 3 rounds. So you're talking first 2 days. Wouldn't shock me any way, shape, or form if they go that direction. Brett Veach likes his corners, and they've been very good at drafting at that position. So it would make a ton of sense. Smoke or fire, they're done at the safety position.
Smoke. I don't think that they are. I think, especially when you look at fit and usage, there's a bunch of box safeties on this roster. Then there's Mike Edwards. And then there's a whole lot of questions. So of your top 4, you just signed a veteran. I don't think that contract, you tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think that contract precludes him making the 53. And I think there are several guys at the safety spot that can play more single high and allow them to get into more man looks, which I think Merritt and Spags want to do. And I don't think you have to spend the top picks on them. I think the second round and the third round could be options for them, given especially that they have nearly back-to-back picks right at the midpoint of day 2, right? Guys in particular that stand out to me that I like in this system include the Notre Dame guy, Xavier Watts. I keep calling him X, and I shouldn't do that because I already call somebody else X all the time. So Xavier Watts in particular, I think that he could fit that. I think he's somebody that could give them range. Makumo, I believe, from Texas, he's also someone that can play out there in space, can be single high. I want somebody with ball skills. And even if it gets past, if you're at 95 or maybe even into day 3, Keaton Crawford is a player from Nevada that plays a lot of split safety, but I think is very, very, very raw mentally. Overreacts to visual stimuli, gets faked out. He bites a lot. That's okay. That can be taught. He has physical tools. He's one of the better athletes at the position in this group. And I think he has the ability to take the ball away. Those two guys in getting turnovers and PBUs, that's what I'm looking for. And I think that could be a sneaky acquisition.
It wouldn't surprise me. I looked at Mike Edwards' contract, and it's like he's got a $500,000 guaranteed salary and signing bonus of about $170,000. So basically, they'd be giving up $700K. Is that something that they're willing to do? I would say if they find the right player, yeah, I think that they would. Like, you invest in players all the time. You give them signing bonuses. Look at what they do with the UDFAs. I know it's not the same situation, but it's very close. That kind of money is not something that is going to preclude me, in my mind, from taking somebody at safety if you think that you have that need still. So I do think that that's potentially possible if the right person falls to them, especially the right type. Because because you said they have a specific type and they have plenty of that type. They shouldn't be looking at anybody at that position of that type.
Nick Amonwori, folks. I know he's an athletic fit and you'd love to see him. He's a box safety. Let's be real. You can't get away from what they do on film.
Yeah. So we'll see. Smoke or fire? They draft more than 2 defensive tackles in this draft.
Fire. I think the max would be 4 for me, but I do think there are a couple of interesting prospects that could be there at the end of round 6 and certainly at 7 that give them an opportunity to take at least 2, probably 3 is my guess, and maybe even more. Who knows?
Well, and it's crazy because you talk about the end of round 6 or round 7, and those are guys that typically on a lot of rosters in the NFL are going to make the roster. On this one, probably not.
True.
It's reality that they may not make the roster, and that's okay. That's kind of what you want. If you're going to be drafting guys, you take risks and you take players at that level expecting, okay, if they don't make the roster on this one, it's fine. But we took somebody that we wanted to take a chance on. So not a huge deal in my mind if they go that direction. Smoke or fire? They draft a linebacker on day 3.
I'm glad you brought this one up because if I was going to ask you one, this was going to be it. I think it's fire. There are a number, and I mean 5, 6, just looking at the list here, 5 or 6 guys that are good plus athletes and are undersized linebackers, quote unquote, meaning they could be strong safety size. 236, 222, 227, 231, guys that can play teams, have a ton of experience, and have the athleticism to be that role. Nothing against Jack Cochran, but a Jack Cochran-like player that, especially for Dave Tobe's usage, you want to keep the churn going so you stay young in those roles. So I do think that is a sneaky possibility. I'm going fire.
Fair enough. I'm really excited. I hope that they do that because they need to continue to have youth at that position, especially when you start talking about the back end of that position and the guys that are going to be your special teams guys. So I would really like that.
The 2 names to watch, I will tell you, on my list are Nick Martin from Oklahoma State and probably one of the most exciting guys, played at Cal, Teddy Buchanan. I think that fit. Both of them come in at 233. No, Martin's at 221. A little bit undersized. Buchanan, I really like a 233, flies. He's athletic matrix. He's in the top 10, and he's a guy you're going to get mid-day 3.
There you go. It's exactly what they need to get, is somebody that is very mobile and is able to run and able to help in teams. I mean, they're going to need that, and you still have question marks. Drew Tranquil isn't going to be here long term. He's getting up there in age, and you still have question marks about Chenal as well, because he's going to be a free agent after 2025. So something to look at when you start talking about the linebacker position.
Yeah, I'm going to say Chenal's back. I'm saying that now before the draft and everything.
I hope he is. I'm not saying he won't be. I just, I'm looking at the overall picture of this roster, and you have to have somebody to fill in there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. What do you guys want to know? What's on the list? We're going to go over some of my rankings early next week, and we'll answer some questions. So put them in the comments here on YouTube. We'll try to bring those back up next week as we get ready for the NFL draft. I hope that you're ready. I hope that you have the equipment you need to be ready for it. You can always get all the big names, but you want to go get the Rogue APC draft guide, because we put it all together for you from a different point of view. So check it out, rogueapc.com. Use that code LOC. You'll get a discount. It'll really help out. Thank you guys for being with us. Make sure you like, sub, listen to another Locked On show next. You'll probably get suggested to you right about now. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.